Hi everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I am here to talk about controversy. I'm here with the controversial book tag. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I was tagged by Allie from Hardback Hoarder in the controversial book tag. I have the questions here on my phone and I'm going to look over them. There's only 5. The 6th one is to tag some more people. So I will tag people in the description box listed down below. And for me this one was difficult because I mean I have controversial opinions, but like as far as controversial books go, I one, try to stay out of controversy. 2, I mean, every book has its merits, pros, cons, you know, etc., etc. So I feel like a lot of books are labeled as controversial when really it's just about personal perspective and the lens that you go into a book reading with. So we're going to jump into this one though. So the first question is, what is the most controversial book that I have read or own and why? And for that one, I gotta give it to All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Brain Greenwood. This is super controversial in that it covers pedophilia. It covers pedophilia in a situation where a girl is in this horrible, horrible life situation. Her parents are drug addicts, drug dealers. There's a biker gang. This girl is completely unsafe, and the one person that is caring for her and protecting her and making sure that she is safe and cared for is then the person that she begins a romantic relationship with when she is... I think it starts when she's 8 and he's 26. This is also controversial because there's race talked about and slurs used, and I had so many feelings on this. I have an entire 2 videos on this book, one that is non-spoilery, one that is spoilery, and I think that this is probably the most controversial book for me because I do think it was really well written. I do think it's beautifully written. I do still really, really like the book. And it still makes me think about it, and it still makes me question the fact that I rooted for this relationship at some points because it was the only safe haven for this child. Mess with my head a lot. And I know that this is incredibly polarizing. People are either disgusted by it, don't see the merit, or they can still be disgusted by it, but kind of see where the author was coming from. I don't know. It's also equally disturbing because it's kind of autobiographical. Like the author said that this pretty much mirrors her childhood and her experiences, and that some of this was pulled from her life, which is troubling. So this book for sure is one of the most controversial ones that I've read. And I was actually completely spoiled for this book before I read it because my friend had read it and was like, don't ever read this book. It's just garbage, and it's like absolutely problematic and really, really troubling. And I was like, oh no, I have to read that. So I actually read it after somebody had already told me the entire premise for the book, and then I still went into it and had a lot of thoughts. Number 2, what is the book with the most controversial title and or cover? And I don't know that there's a controversial title or a controversial cover that I could think of. Like I don't really have one. I think that there's some that speak to the topic and that some that just definitely come up, and when you say the title, people think of how problematic it is, like Forbidden by Tamitha Suzuba, Flowers in the Attic by B.C. Andrews. I think both of those are pretty iconic, really dark, controversial, troubling book. I think that either one of those titles are pretty iconic when it comes to troubling topics and troubling books. So I'd probably say Forbidden by Tamitha Suzuba with like the heart with this. Probably that, which I have read, but I unhauled because I'm never going to reread it. What's one of my favorite banned books? There's many to go through. So, a couple. I love Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind was banned. I love Harry Potter. Harry Potter was banned. There's a lot of like older classics that were banned. Huckleberry Finn was banned. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the books that we read as kids are banned or were banned at some point, or the books that are coming out now that are banned. I think Looking for Alaska got banned. The Hate You Give, which is coming up in another question, was also banned, which is ridiculous because I think this should be mandatory reading in schools, not banned from schools. Is another one of my favorite banned books, because if you're going to ban this bad boy, like, I'm gonna champion this all the time. You guys know I do. What's a book that I bought and read after hearing so much controversy or constant talk about? I've got 2 for that. I have, first up, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, which I don't think is as controversial as it is polarizing. People either love this book or hate this book. I love this book. I actually have a video that already went up that is my 5 rereads, or my books that I want to reread this year. This is going to be added to that list. I want to reread and annotate this book this year. It's very short. It'll be an easy read for me to reread and annotate. I loved this book, and I'd be interested to read it now knowing what I know about the book. But this is a pretty polarizing one that people really either loved or hated, so I picked it up because of that. And then next up would be this thing, Diana Gabaldon's Outlander, which is controversial in that you either love it or hate it. And if you love it, you really love it. And if you hate it, you really hate it. I definitely fall on the side of really hating it, which I didn't think I was going to do. The reason that a lot of people hate this book is because it is chauvinistic and sexist, and there are men taking advantage of women, and it's rapey, and it's manhandly, and this isn't a relationship that we should root for because it's deeply problematic. And I don't really have a problem with alpha males or problematic relationships, and sometimes I'm kind of like, no, I get it. And seeing that this is a historical fiction, I kind of figured, like, well, it's back in time, it makes sense, like, I probably won't have a problem with it. No, I still had a problem with it. A lot of that is because I just hate the main character. But there are things about this relationship, like people idolize Jamie and he's their book boyfriend, and Jamie Fraser is bae and he's great and he's this and he's that. Like, no, dude, like, he still behaves in ways that are not appropriate towards her. For a while there, like, I super hardcore rooted for the relationship, and it was kind of the saving grace of the book series, or the book. And then a situation occurs where he has to, quote-unquote, punish her, and I was like, dude, I'm out. You were the one person that was not acting that way. I can't get behind this one. But I picked it up really thinking I was gonna be okay with the problematic content in this book, and I'm really surprised I wasn't. But I wasn't. Last question before you get to the recommendation or who you tag is, what is a controversial book, film to TV adaptation? This could be anything from plot to casting choice, etc. So, a couple of things. I think that Johnny Depp cast as anything anymore, especially him in The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, especially after his scandal kind of came out and they continued to cast with him. I think that was just shitty. I also think that it's shitty that he was cast as Tonto, because he's not Native American. He claimed to be part Native American, so it was fine, but like, you're still whitewashing a character that should have been played by a Native American person. Also, Rooney Mara, I think, in Pan was cast as Tiger Lily. Any kind of whitewashing like that where the character is obviously meant to be ethnic, they're supposed to be indigenous, and then they're cast by a white person is just shitty. It's just shitty. There's enough actors and actresses out there of color that want those roles that should never go to a white person. It just shouldn't. And then also, the thing that I think was done really well is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This was obviously made into a movie, and everybody is so pumped for the movie. We're so ready for it. And it was in post-production. It was all filmed. The film was a wrap. Everything was going great until it wasn't. Like, until it really wasn't. The issue with this is that this is like a Black Lives Matter movement. It's supposed to be race positive. I thought that this was handled so well. I thought that this book was fantastic representation. Again, as a white person, so I don't really know, right? This book is so vitally important, and the message in this book is so incredibly valid. So it had to be positively handled, and the casting for this went really well. Everybody was overjoyed with the casting. Angie herself was on set and overjoyed with the casting. And everybody was really excited. There was a lot of like behind the scenes stuff coming out, and there was Instagram videos and Twitter accounts for the actors, like for the characters, and a lot of hype around the movie and the filming of the movie, and everybody was so there for it. And then the actor that plays Chris, who is Star's boyfriend, came out, and there was a video that surfaced of him, I believe years ago. I don't know really the details, but there was conversations that took place that were on film that were leaked of him using the N-word and using racist slurs. And he's supposed to be in a movie where you're addressing race in a way where an actor, especially one of the only white actors in the movie, should not be behaving that way. And the movie pulled him. They fired him, and they're going to refilm the movie. Like, it's gonna be redone with a different actor as Chris, as the love interest, because the production agency said no, like, we can't back him being Chris and being in this race positive movie, and knowing that there's footage out there and all this controversy of him using the N-word and using racial slurs. We're not okay with it. And yes, we were done shooting. Yes, we were post-production. Yes, we've already invested all this money. We're not going forward with it with him as an actor in the movie. And I think that is what more people need to start doing. And I think that that's what Fantastic Beasts should have done when the Johnny Depp shit came out. And I think that is the new norm. Like, that should be the new standard for production, pulling that shit. And I think that more publishing houses need to do that. When things come back from ARC and early readers that things are problematic, they need to pull the release and they need to relook at the book with their authors. And I think that this should be the new standard. Like, this is, I don't know that this has been done before that I can remember, but I'm really glad that it was done with this particular situation. Yes, people change. I think the video was old. People are championing him and saying it's fine, it's okay. He learned, he's grown, but I personally, I think it sends a message, and I think it sends the right message. So that's pretty controversial, though. In this situation, I think controversy handled correctly, though. So there's that. I think that's everything. I think that's all the questions. And then the last one is, who do you tag? So I will tag some people in the description box down below. I will list you if you're tagged, because I need to look around and see who's done this and who hasn't, and who's been tagged and who hasn't yet. Definitely let me know in the comments down below if you have another controversial book or controversial title or controversial cover that I missed. There's tons out there, guys. So I challenge you to do this, but I will link some people down below. And if you like this video, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, guys.